On February 4, 2025, former President Donald Trump sent shockwaves through the international community with a proposal as unexpected as it was audacious. He called for the United States to assume control of the Gaza Strip, the densely populated Palestinian territory currently administered by Hamas. This move, he argued, would pave the way for a radical transformation of the impoverished enclave into a thriving hub of economic activity, a Riviera on the Mediterranean. Trump's vision, as outlined in subsequent statements, hinges on a two-pronged approach. First, the existing Palestinian population of Gaza would be offered relocation, presumably with financial incentives, to other countries willing to receive them. Second, the United States, leveraging its military and economic might, would oversee the arduous task of rebuilding Gaza from the ground up. This would include addressing the complex and dangerous issue of unexploded ordnance, a legacy of decades of conflict. The sheer scale of this undertaking, coupled with its potential to upend the already volatile geopolitical landscape of the Middle East, has left many observers grappling with its implications. Trump's proposal marks a stark departure from long-standing U.S. policy in the region, particularly its commitment to a two-state solution as the path to resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It also raises a host of practical questions, ranging from the legal basis for such a takeover to the logistical complexities of relocating millions of people and rebuilding a territory ravaged by war and neglect. The initial response to Trump's proposal has been a mixture of skepticism, alarm, and outright condemnation from many quarters. Trump has sought to frame his proposal as a humanitarian endeavor, driven by a desire to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinian people and provide them with a brighter future. He points to the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza, characterized by poverty, unemployment, and a lack of basic services, as a compelling reason for drastic action. However, critics have been quick to question the sincerity of these motives, suggesting that they may mask ulterior geopolitical objectives. Some have pointed to Trump's long-standing affinity for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his administration's unwavering support for Israel as evidence that this move is ultimately aimed at consolidating Israeli control over the region. The international community has largely reacted to Trump's proposal with a mixture of condemnation and disbelief. The United Nations, the European Union, and numerous individual countries have expressed grave concerns about its legality, practicality, and potential consequences. The proposal has been widely denounced as a violation of international law, particularly the principle of self-determination, which guarantees the Palestinian people's right to an independent state. Domestically, the reaction has been more divided. While some within Trump's own Republican Party have expressed tentative support, many, including prominent Democrats, have condemned the proposal as reckless, unrealistic, and potentially disastrous. They argue that it would embroil the United States in another costly and protracted conflict, further destabilize the Middle East, and damage America's standing in the world. Trump's vision of a US-led transformation of Gaza, while presented as a novel solution, has drawn comparisons to historical instances of Western powers imposing their will on other regions. Critics have likened it to colonial projects of the past, where external actors sought to reshape societies in their own image, often with disastrous consequences for the indigenous populations. The proposal's disregard for Palestinian self-determination and its implicit assumption that the United States has the right to decide the fate of another people have also raised alarm bells. It harks back to an era of great power politics, where territorial conquests and the redrawing of maps by external forces were commonplace. From a legal standpoint, Trump's proposal faces numerous hurdles. International law, enshrined in the United Nations Charter and other treaties, prohibits the acquisition of territory by force. Any attempt by the United States to assert sovereignty over Gaza without the consent of the Palestinian people, represented by their legitimate leadership, would be deemed illegal under international law. Furthermore, the proposal raises complex questions about governance, security, and citizenship. Would Gaza become a U.S. territory, subject to American laws and jurisdiction? What would be the status of its residents? These are just a few of the legal conundrums that would need to be addressed. As it stands, Trump's proposal appears to be more of a thought experiment than a concrete policy initiative. However, the fact that it has been aired publicly by a former U.S. president, however unconventional, cannot be easily dismissed. The proposal has already succeeded in injecting a new element of uncertainty into an already volatile region. It remains to be seen how the Palestinian Authority, weakened by internal divisions and struggling to maintain its legitimacy, will respond to this latest challenge. Hamas, the Islamist group that governs Gaza, has already rejected the proposal, vowing to resist any attempt to impose it by force. The group's stance, coupled with the widespread opposition within Palestinian society to the idea of abandoning their homeland, suggests that any attempt to implement Trump's vision would likely be met with fierce resistance. The reaction of key regional players, such as Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia, will also be crucial in determining the proposal's fate. These countries, already grappling with their own internal challenges and wary of further instability in the region, are unlikely to welcome a plan that could have far-reaching consequences for their own security and stability. In the final analysis, Trump's proposal serves as a stark reminder of the complexities and sensitivities surrounding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It underscores the urgent need for a just and lasting solution that addresses the legitimate aspirations of both peoples, based on international law and mutual respect. Whether such a solution can be achieved in the current climate of mistrust and animosity remains an open question.